evening, everyone. I hope your Saturday has been going great, and we are here to make it a little better. So, today we have a very interesting session lined up for us because while it is revolving around design, it is not very design centric. Because while being a great designer is really amazing for you to grow your career, it isn't the only skill you need to stand out, right? Because whether you have developed your design expertise with a certification program or you're completely self-taught, chances are that your learning process won't stop there. And on top of continuing to master these essential design skills, there are lots of other design non-design things that designers can learn and improve upon, so that they make themselves better and stand out in this ever-growing audience. So for us, for this, we have a very interesting individual. She's a great colleague slash friend of mine, and she's an engineer who turned her career from writing lines of code to solving problems one pixel at a time, and that helped her grow. And she is currently the head of design at ProCreator, working with one of the biggest brands and helping the team and leading from the front. So she is Kanika Khurana, the head of design at ProCreator. So Kanika, I think it's over to you.
Thanks everyone for joining today. Afif, thanks for the great introduction. And I'm so glad every one of you could join me today. That I know there's an IPL match going on, but I'm sure you can spare a few minutes to learn more about what makes you a good designer, apart from design, obviously. So this is actually my second workshop with ProApp over here, and I'm glad I could conduct the second one and many more to come. So let's dive right into it. Okay. So Afif already introduced me, but I'll just give you a little more background. I was a developer. So I studied engineering and then I became a developer. I even worked as a developer for 2.5 years. But then I found my passion in design, and I have been the head of design at ProCreator for approximately 6 months now. And I started being a UX designer and then became a senior designer, and now I'm the head of design. And something that I have learned is you definitely get to learn the design skills through, let's say, online or working with fellow designers, or even through some course that you take. But there are certain non-design skills that are not really taught and you figure out along the way. So it took me some time to get there. So I thought, why not save you some time and give you my knowledge, and just hopefully that will give you a little edge over the other designers. So now you might be thinking I'm talking about these non-design skills, but what exactly are these skills? So what makes you a successful designer? Notice how I said successful and not a good designer, because you can be a good designer if you're good at your skill. It could be like graphic design, UX design, interior design, any design field. If you know the design skills, you're automatically a good designer. But it takes certain more skills to make you a successful designer. That's what you're going to be talking about in this workshop. So firstly, like I said, definitely the base is the design principles. If you know all the other stuff, but you don't know design, then you're not really a designer. So let's not talk about the design principles aspect here. I'm sure you'll find a lot of great material over that. And I already conducted one past workshop about how you can get your career start in UX design. That's up on the ProApp YouTube channel. So definitely go give it a watch if you missed it. And the next thing would be communication. So anything that you have designed, you have to present it. You have to explain your design decisions, or not even explaining, you have to interact with various people. So this does not just go for a designer. For any professional, you need to communicate, and it's not possible to work in silo. Some of us might like it, just work alone and not collaborate with other people, but definitely you will have to. That's a part of being a professional, and you need to communicate with other individuals, be it your design choices or just getting on a call, or even conducting a workshop like I am doing it right now. Then there is collaboration. So like we touched upon, being a professional is a collaborative process. You have to interact with a lot of individuals. And if that collaboration is not smooth, it just causes a lot of problems and it's not efficient. So collaboration within the team is definitely an important aspect of being a designer. Next, there is planning and time management. So we as creatives want all the time in the world to explore and make the most creative solution. Guilty, I have done that, exceeded the timelines just because I wanted to just perfect the design. But for us, it becomes even more important to manage our time and plan efficiently so that we can meet the deadlines. That is also something we'll be talking about. Then, very important, organization and documentation. How many of us are guilty of having that particular final one, final two, final finalist file name on our systems? I'm sure a lot of us, and by the end we give up and just name the file anything that we want to. So feedback and iteration is part of being a designer. It is going to happen. The first design that you crack is very rarely going to be the final design. There's a lot more iteration and feedback that would come in. I mean, you might just come up with different ways to make it better. So that makes it even more important to organize your life as a designer and document everything. So there are a few ways we can do that. We will be touching upon that. So let's start with the first skill, which is communication. This is the most important skill which everyone needs to know. And what exactly is effective communication? So communication, if I just tell you that, hey, go and write this line of code. You're not a coder, you're a designer. I will give you some problem statement, you will listen to it, but you wouldn't really understand it because those are not your skills. So it is important to communicate in an effective way such that your audience understands what you're talking about. So effective communication is where your audience receives the information, like I hope you are receiving the information I'm providing you right here, and they can further relate to someone else. So hopefully by the end of this workshop, you have enough information to further communicate these skills to your team or anyone else that could benefit from it. That's when I would say that I did an effective communication job, because that's what you want in the end. So it could be even just providing status updates to your project manager who would further relate, let's say, to the CEO or your client. This needs to be done properly. So let's say you told your project manager that, hey, this design would take 2 days and I might need 1 day for feedback. But they're like, okay, fine, he's not really going to have feedback, and they just communicate that this will be done in 2 days. That's not effective communication. You have to explain to your project manager why you need that extra 1 day for feedbacks. So if your audience does not receive your information, then it is ineffective communication. And finally, like I gave an example with the project manager, they should further be able to communicate it to the client. That's when you actually did a good job and your audience understood it. But you say, why should I even care about effective communication? I'm going to explain that to you. So when it comes to effective communication, if you do an ineffective job, then it's going to lead to wasted time, wasted energy, and misunderstandings. What that means is you spend some time communicating this information to someone. That could have taken a few minutes or even an hour or so, depending on the information that you are trying to communicate. Plus, you are spending energy in speaking and in further relaying that information, and that's also, it drains you if it's a long communication process. And finally, it'll lead to misunderstandings, which can hamper relationships. So if you don't communicate well, if you don't explain your design decisions well, it could lead to misunderstandings. To give you some examples from a designer's perspective, let's say you have to make one illustration. So it's an illustration for just a desk that you have to make, and you make a desk, you show it to your client, and they're like, seriously, this took you like 2 days to make? But they didn't know that this was a 3D illustration. It takes time to get all the shadows and all the colors, everything right. They are not a designer. If you don't explain your decisions and the time it took and why it took it, it will lead to misunderstandings. So definitely these are the drawbacks of ineffective communication, and they really drain you and they cause an effect on relationships. So you need to do a better job at communicating. So how can we do that? Like I've told you what are the problems. there are some general tips that I will give you. So these are some general tips of being a better communicator in general. Could be at your job or just with your family or anyone. Certain traits make you a good communicator. Firstly, you should respond versus react. Respond is that, okay, hey, I told you that by when will this design be done? You just randomly threw a number and said that okay, this will be done in 2 hours. You didn't think about it. So you need to manage your emotions. Just tell them, I will get back to you. Let me think about this. So take 30 seconds to yourself and think about it and then answer. You should be an active listener. So listen and get back and just give some form of acknowledgement that you heard it. Like just could be saying, okay, I'll get back to you. Or just, give a thumbs up if it's a software like Slack. And always observe good conversationalists. So if you think someone is a good conversationalist, how are they communicating? Think about it. And then get back and just see what are the things that they're doing. That could be like they are just, let's say, using the hands, or they are enunciating their words. Observe someone you think is a good communicationalist, and then accordingly copy them first, and then you will develop your own actions. Record yourself talking. So a good way to gain confidence is just, everyone has a phone camera. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes and observe your body language. Observe how you're speaking. Take notes and then think about what would make you more confident. Could be that, okay, you keep saying, like people tend to do that. So, you need to work upon that. Or could be that, you seem very blank. You're not communicating your emotions. You're not showing excitement. Or you're not showing that, okay, this is something that does not go well. Emotions also are a huge aspect of communication. So observe what you're doing and then work upon it. That's something I have definitely done. Just recorded myself speaking and seeing where I can do better. Even going back and watching the recording, like I definitely did watch my recording of the first workshop and took some pointers about what I can do better. So what makes you a great designer is obviously solving the problems if you're a UX designer, or cracking the interior design if you're an interior designer, and same that cracking the style if you're a graphic designer for a particular illustration. But how you articulate those decisions that you took, that becomes a very important aspect that differentiates a great designer from a good designer. So now if you had to ask me, okay, why did I choose red color for this slide? So if I just say that, no, I just liked it, so I chose it. That's not a good way to communicate. This falls under one of the brandings of ProApp, and my workshop has been branded in this particular color. That's why this presentation, you'll notice red throughout. Now I'm explaining you why I took that certain decision. So this was a very small example, but throughout your life as a designer, there'll be a lot of decisions that you need to communicate. So effectively, first of all, you need to have those reasons. You can't just particularly pick any color that you want. Think about it, do your research, and then whoever asks you that question, could be a fellow designer or a client, explain it to them that why you took that certain decision. That will just add a little more confidence and credibility that you know what you're doing. So like I said, along those lines, if you communicate your design decisions, it helps people build trust. So having the ability to articulate your decisions assures the stakeholders, whoever they might be, that you have a necessary expertise to complete the job, and definitely is going to help you collaborate with the team. Designers, they need to contribute ideas, and they need to collaborate with different types of designers and even different stakeholders, like could be a developer if you're a UX designer. So you need to help them understand your perspective, and that's how they will know that what is to be done. You have to, across your life as a designer, interact with various verticals. Could be the marketing team, could be a content writer, could be a developer, or could just be like the CEO of the company. Every vertical has a certain process, and they have a certain way of thinking, which will necessarily not be the same as what you think. So if I had to, I'll just take my example. I'm a UX designer. So not all of you present over here might know what is competitor analysis. So if I tell you that, okay, for your product, I need to do a competitor analysis, you might not understand. You're like, okay, what is competitor analysis? Why are you spending 3 days doing a competitor analysis? You need to explain that, hey, there are a lot of existing competitors out there in the market, direct as well as indirect competitors, and you will be competing with them. So you need to see what the other competitors are doing well, where are they lacking, what inspiration can you draw from them, and what would give you an edge over the competition, something that they are missing. That's why we need to conduct this competitor analysis. So now you have a little more background. And definitely once I conduct the competitor analysis and I present it to you, you will have more idea about what I did and why I did it. So depending on your audience, again, you need to change the way you communicate. If I had to explain competitor analysis to a UX designer, I would not go into the depth that I went because they already know about it. So judge what your audience knows and doesn't know, and then explain it to them. A very simple thing would be that just ask them that, hey, do you know what is competitor analysis? If they say no, then you can get into them. So it's a good idea to ask the audience what they are already aware of, and based on that new knowledge that you gain, accordingly communicate the information to them. So definitely interacting with various audiences is going to be a part of your job as a designer. I'm just going to make my screen full screen quickly. Realized I was not doing that. So let's take a very easy to relate example. Now, if I asked you to make a pizza, I didn't give you any information. I didn't tell you which pizza base I prefer, what cheese I want, what sort of toppings I want. And then I expect you to give me that pizza, perfect pizza, the way I like it to me. Is it possible? Well, not really. If you get it right in the first go, then I would say that's sheer luck. So that's how clients are. They will not tell you exactly what they want. They just expect you to read their mind. Definitely, there are clients who are very sure about what they want and give you detailed requirements. But to be honest, that's a little rare. Usually, clients just expect you to get things right, and they don't give you a lot of background. Even when they give you feedback, it's like, I just don't feel this is right. This is not it. This is not the design that I want. And when you ask them why, I don't know what is missing, but something is missing. So this does not really give you a lot of background. I have definitely come across fair share of clients who do that. So then you need to dive deeper. What would you do in this scenario? Like, let's take the example of the slide, which is over here. And now to imagine that the client tells me that, hey, I don't like this slide. So then I would ask them that, okay, what exactly do you not like over here? Is it the content? Is it the image? Is it the colors? What is something that you don't like over here? And then they would further tell me that, hey, I don't really like this image, or I don't like the color scheme, or the content is not communicating what I wanted to communicate. And then further you can cross question them that, okay, if they say that I don't like this image, why exactly do you not like this image? That they could say that, okay, I don't want like a white male represented here. Most of my target audience is female, so I want a female picture over here. Then you get a little more idea that, okay, that's why they don't like it. And sometimes the answer that they give might not be accurate. Let's just say that, okay, they just say, I just don't like this image. This is my personal preference. So that doesn't really that's not really like a sensible answer. Then you can further explain your decisions that, okay, I understand that you have a personal preference and this image is not as per your personal preferences. But what I am trying to communicate in this slide is that if a chef was told to make a pizza without giving any idea about what are the ingredients, what is the expectation, the chef finally just comes up with an empty plate because he was confused. So that is what this image is trying to convey, like a confused chef. That's the reason I've added it. It goes well with the content. Then the client understands that, okay, fine, I get it. So then further they could agree or disagree still. But yeah, that's how you dive deeper and understand what is the thought process of the client. So as a designer, you will definitely be communicating with one or various clients, which will keep changing, and all of them will have a different way of communicating. You need to adopt your communication style And accordingly, that's when the project will be a success, when you can communicate your decisions and understand what exactly are the requirements. So a few tips for client communication, because this forms a very important part of our job. Like I just showed you with the example, ask for clarification when required. When you're not sure, like if the requirements are not clear, just further ask them or just tell them that, hey, can you please repeat what you said? I'm not perfectly clear about what are the expectations. So it's okay to say I don't know. Like it's not going to make you sound dumb, or they're not going to think that seriously this person does not know about this. Rather, they would appreciate it if you clarified things then and there itself, then make some design which does not match the expectation and lead to rework. Because for them, for a client, time is money. So if asking your one question, which would take like 1 or 2 minutes, could save like hours in the long run, they're definitely going to understand. And if they don't, if they really tell you that, hey, are you seriously asking this question to me? Like, then you can explain to them what I just did, that if we spend a few minutes just understanding this further, it's going to prevent rework and eventually save time. But that does not mean you ask them dumb questions. Definitely, there is a difference between a good question and a dumb question. I'm sure you are smart enough to understand that. So it's okay once in a while if you ask those dumb questions, but certain things the client expects you to know as a designer. So definitely ask them questions specific to the product and the requirements. Then you should ask open-ended questions. So now if the client says that, okay, I want a pitch deck explaining my product, and I want to show it to my further investors so that I can start the next round of investment. So then you can ask them, okay, I understand. How many slides is that deck supposed to have? And what are the topics you want to cover? Like so things like what the product has already done, what is the roadmap, who's your target audience. Then they might say that, no, I don't want the target audience that already my investors know about. And then further, obviously, diving deeper into each section. So questions, what are open-ended questions? Open-ended questions are some things which you will not usually answer with yes and no. Those are close-ended questions. So now if I just ask you that, hey, are you enjoying this workshop? You'll probably say yes, no, or maybe. That's not further going to initiate conversation. Rather, if I ask you, up until now, what is something that you have enjoyed about the workshop? That becomes an open-ended question. So things which can further stimulate conversation, that's an open-ended question. So always ask your clients open-ended questions. And like we have spoken about, explain your design decisions backed by some research and data that you did. So I hope you are doing some research and data correlation before taking decisions on their design. That's important. But yeah, explain it to them. Like just to take an example, if you're doing a branding project and it's for a food company and you ended up choosing yellow. So there is decisions backed by research that why yellow is a good color for food. So that's when you explain it to the client. So definitely there needs to be some sort of research done based on the task that is being allocated to you. The next point, and very important, we all are guilty, I'm sure, of just saying yes under pressure. The client will ask you, by when can you deliver this design? You will say, it'll take me 2 days. They'll be like, this is an easy design. You can do it in 1 day. And then you'll be like, no, but I need to explore certain variations. That will take 2 days. Okay, chal, fine. I'll give you 1.5 days, the client says. But if you know it's not doable in 1.5 days. But sometimes because of that pressure, you end up saying yes. And then you have to stretch your day or you have to compromise certain aspects of the design. That again leads to problems later, because then either they might not be happy because you compromise on certain things, or you will be exhausted because you had to work till like 2-3 a.m. in the night. So just don't say yes under pressure. Take some time. Tell them that let me get back to you. And if they require some estimation, you can tell them that, hey, this would take like 2-3 days approximately, but I'm just going to go back and discuss with my team and get back to you on the exact timelines. So just use this line by default that, hey, let me get back to you on this. but tell them by when you can get back. So not something vague that I will get back to you and never get back to them. Tell them that I'll get back to you by 6 p.m. today. I just need to discuss this further with my team, or I need to think a little more about it. That's when they will appreciate it also, that okay, by X amount of time, like they'll have the answers that they need. And again, unfortunately, you will come across an agitated client at least once in your life as a designer, that they are unhappy either with the designs, with the timelines, or any particular aspect that might cause them to be unhappy, or they might have some concerns, and then they might get angry and then shout at you or speak to you in a rude tone. So just you need to remain calm. You yourself might get agitated because maybe those concerns are not valid, or it's possible that it was your mistake, but now you don't know how to answer. So fine, you should always remain calm, listen to the concerns that they have calmly, and then address each of them and just tell them that, hey, I understand that you have a product delivery and certain things are delayed by our end. I am sure it will get done, and I'll have to stretch if I need to. That's if it's your mistake. And if it's not, just explain to them the reason that certain things are delayed, or the reason why this design is the way it is. And if still they keep shouting, then still answer calmly. Usually it will happen that they will mirror your tone, and they will see that, okay, you are talking calmly, so they also need to tone down and just calmly address the problems and focus on trying to solve a solution, tend to find a solution rather than just addressing the problems. So it could be difficult, definitely, but yeah, the thing is you need to remain calm and help them find a solution. And rather than just pointing out the problems, if you give them a solution, they will appreciate it more, and further they will trust you more. So those were some client communication tips. And now something that goes in hand with communication is collaboration. Collaboration, it could be that you're just collaborating with a fellow designer, or you're collaborating with a developer, a project manager, various people across various aspects of your job. So that's what is just illustrated. Like, as a UX designer, these are the type of individuals that I need to collaborate with: a client, a content writer, fellow UX designers or UI or graphic designers, developers, as well as project managers. So everyone is going to have their own perspective and their own constraints. So if I am working with a developer who's developing a web application, I might want this particular, let's take an example, this particular field to be a radio button, but the developer could have restrictions from the backend calls and the APIs that they have, like platform restrictions, why it cannot be a radio button and it needs to be a drop down. So certain things you have to change and adopt based on the inputs that you get from various stakeholders. That's what makes a product successful, if these various stakeholders across verticals collaborate efficiently together. So, like I just briefly touched upon, effective collaboration leads to the success. It could be for a company, for a business, or a project. So if you're working at a design studio, if all the designers are doing well across their various projects, that will finally lead to success, happy clients, and more business, because they will recommend these particular designers and the company. And for any project, so if you develop and design the first version of a platform well, client will be happy, and they'll further give you more requirements or more work. Could be a pitch deck, or could be some illustrations, whatever they might need at that stage. So this effective collaboration leads to the success, as well as improves the relationship with your stakeholder and client. Now, throughout your career, you have to work alongside different team members, and this will lead to challenges, because let's be honest, everyone has a different working style and even a different communication style. So you need to adopt and keep adjusting the way you communicate and collaborate with these team members. You need to work on resolving these collaboration issues, which will finally, it's going to boost your team's efficiency, it will increase your productivity, and then eventually lead to the project success. Take a very small example. Let's say for this particular workshop that you're having, if the other speakers are not communicated that, okay, they need to make a presentation, these are certain guidelines, this is the time by when you need to join the call, then Afi for year will have to again communicate the same things. So if these things are documented and just the document is shared with every workshop presenter, it's going to help them know what are the guidelines, and then again be on time and conduct the workshop in an efficient manner. So that is something like you have to think about based on your use case, what could improve the collaboration, and then eventually it's going to help you save time, because time is one factor that definitely gets wasted if collaboration is not smooth. So I'll just give you a few tips that can improve the collaboration. One thing is closing the communication gap when you're interacting with team members. If you have to work on let's say a big project and you're interacting with 4 team members, set up recurring meetings. So have a fixed time slot for meetings. Could be like 10 a.m. in the day. First start of the day, you spend 15 minutes, everyone just gives their updates and you clarify the doubts and ask them, okay, what are the next things they're going to be working on? That's 15 minutes everyone is booking from their time to discuss on this X project. So everyone will come prepared, and then finally you will not have various messages throughout the day disturbing you and asking you, okay, when is this asset? Or by when can I have this design? I have these queries. So just have those recurring meetings scheduled in your calendar. You can always cancel them if at a certain day you don't need it, but recurring meetings is something which has definitely helped me be more efficient and made the collaboration much more smoother. And when I say recurring meetings, I don't mean just with team members, even with your client. So to give you an example, one particular client used to always message other client kept calling me. So I just understood from them when is the availability every day, and then set up a time to connect. So for the client, it was 11 a.m. in the day. So we had scheduled 11 a.m. catch-ups, and those phone calls or those random messages throughout the day, they reduced a lot, like almost close to 90%. And in the end, the client was happy because they were getting the updates and they could effectively translate the requirements. And I was also happy because I could use the rest of the time to focus on my job. So definitely set up recurring meetings if you're not already doing it. Coming to constructive feedback. If you want to improve as a designer, feedback is very, very important from your fellow designers or even from the client. That helps you grow your design skills. So for that, you need to ask for feedback. Could be from a fellow designer who you know is doing well, or even just in general with your non-design skills, that, hey, how can I make my communication better? What is currently missing in my workflow and my processes that will help you and help the organization? So this constructive feedback is something which you should keep asking for, and you should keep providing also. So if you are working with some other designers, could even be a junior designer or a senior designer, just communicate to them that, hey, our collaboration has been smooth. These are certain things that have really helped me and helped in the collaboration, and certain things which are not really going well, I have a few suggestions how this can be better. They would also appreciate it. It is important how you frame that, definitely, but giving constructive feedback is going to help you grow as well as help your team members grow. So definitely focus on constructive feedback. That's going to improve the collaboration. That is where retrospective calls come in. So having a retrospective call is just you go over what went well as a team, what are certain things that didn't go well, and what can we improve down the road. So once some milestone for a particular project has been achieved, could be one particular, let's say, login module that you had to make as a UX designer, you can just have a short half an hour call and go over these points, document them, and then again have a meeting probably in a month or two, whenever is the next milestone, and see how you have improved, and if any new problems have come up, how you can address them better now. So that is where scheduling retrospective calls helps as a professional. It adds to the professionalism and makes the person you're speaking with think that, okay, this person really cares about the project and the success of the, let's say, organization as a whole. It adds to this value that you bring to the team. Okay, second thing is progress updates. So like I just told you about that example with a client, they wanted to keep knowing what is ongoing. So those recurring invites where I just gave design updates help them understand that the project is on track. So you need to provide design updates to your client and even walkthroughs to your team. So if you have done some particular design already, explain to them that what has been done, what lies ahead, and any changes or updates that were made to the designs after you have already discussed them. That is something which will just let everyone be on the same page, and they will know that, okay, what are the next steps that need to be taken. Same way, if you're collaborating with other stakeholders, like if I need content for this presentation and I'm collaborating with a content writer, I would tell them that the wireframes and the basic structure of the presentation would be done by Thursday. So Friday is when we can discuss them, and then I would need you to provide me the content by next Friday. So having these things outlined also helps your team members plan and take certain decisions that would impact the project. Also inform them about any delays. It's possible that you had some family emergency, you had something urgent come up, or you just thought the design would take 2 days, but now there are certain things which you didn't think about originally, and now it's going to take 3 days. So rather than on the second day, your client asking you, where is the design? You telling them that it's going to be delayed by a day, the client is going to become frustrated and angry that, why didn't you tell me this? I further communicated it to my stakeholders that by this day it will be done. So the exact point at which you know certain things are going to get delayed, that's when you communicate it to your team members or your client that there's going to be a delay. Just tell them that there are certain things which were originally not a part of the plan, or certain things which came up, so I'm going to be delayed by a day, and I'm sure that this will lead to the proper design being delivered, and it really is essential that we delayed by a day. So then they might get a little frustrated, but at least they'll be happy that you communicated to them in advance, and accordingly they can plan other certain things. So inform about delays to your team members as well as your clients. Constant communication is required. So it might be that you are giving too many updates or asking too many questions, but it's important to rather over communicate than under communicate. So have that constant line of communication when you're interacting with team members, and keep asking them that, is there something more that they need from you, or is there something that they're unsure of? That will just streamline things and further again lead to the success of the project. You should provide timely updates and feedbacks like we spoke about. So having constructive feedback is essential, which we have touched upon. So again, like just as your design skills improve, you could ask your fellow designers that, okay, how can my, let's say, illustration style be better? What is something that you did not understand about the concept for my illustration style? So based on the type of work that you do, ask for feedback and then improve upon it. You should review your work daily, like just set aside few minutes of your day. Could be, let's say, for you, the first 15 minutes that you like to look at your designs before you start your day, or you could reserve the last 10 minutes or half an hour of your day for going over the designs, your designs itself or your team members' design, and accordingly give them feedback. So when you're working with different designers, you will have to review work. And as and when you progress in your career as a designer, there will be certain reviews that you need to do. If you delay those reviews, then it's finally going to impact you. Like, let's say I gave this work of this presentation to my junior to work on it, and just 1 hour before the presentation, I go and I see, I'm like, hey, okay, these pointers are missed out, this graphic is not going well with the content. There is very less time to actually update those things. So if you constantly keep some time aside and give the team feedbacks, it's going to help them improve their work and save your time too in the end. So these feedbacks and discussing the roadmap ahead should be done at some scheduled time slot. That's when it really helps both of you advance and not lead to calls throughout the day, like someone is just messaging you that, okay, when can we connect, I have a doubt, or I didn't understand this particular design feedback that you gave me. That's when, like what we spoke about, having recurring meeting time set aside is going to help in clearing those doubts and queries with your team. So it could, if you're working out of office, be a set time that you connect with your team. And if you're collaborating with multiple team members, setting aside like different time slots for each project is going to make the collaboration more smooth. So look at your calendar and set these times whenever you can, based on your other schedules. Like, could be certain personal work that you have, or setting some time aside for your lunch. Schedule all that in your calendar. That is definitely going to help you. So since we are speaking about scheduling, planning and time management is definitely something that comes in, which is very important. And why is it planning? Why is it important to have this planning and organization? Because, like I said, I myself am guilty of just exploring designs till I feel it's perfect. Because as a creative, we want that perfection. All of us want to be happy looking at our designs. And sometimes, honestly, it's not possible because there are certain deadlines you need to meet. So you do the best you can in that X amount of time that you have. So design is a collaborative process, and it is impacted by the business goals, the product market, and even your stakeholders' decisions. So before you jump into designs, spend a good amount of time planning out and sharing the timelines with whoever needs to be aware about it. It could be like just a fellow designer, they need to work on X slides or X wireframes, so they should know by when they need to do it. And set a realistic timeline and manage your time. I'm just going to take a minute to have some water. Okay. So yeah, I'm back. We can go ahead. And how do you estimate this time? So if I have to make a blog landing page, it's going to take me 2 days. I should set some buffer, like 0.5 day, because there could be iterations, the design might not be perfect, and I should set 1 day for feedback. So my original estimation was 2 days, but considering these factors, now it's 3.5 days. Set some time aside for buffer and feedbacks. It's very important because, like you might already be aware, design is an iterative process. So all these factors need to be considered. Use certain planning softwares to do your job better, and we just touch upon what softwares can help you. Google Calendar. So like we spoke about scheduling your time, use calendar. And this is just an example of that I had done a few weeks back. For my calendar, I scheduled my focus time, my plan to connect with the team as well as the client. And then based on how it went, I changed those meeting times or this focus time. You have to adopt. You can't have a set template for all your weeks because you have different deadlines, different things to do. So you need to adopt your planning, but having this time set aside is going to help you just be more efficient. Google is something which we all use. It's free. So Google Calendar is a very helpful tool to schedule all your meetings as well as your focus time and even your personal time. So accordingly, even scheduling your breaks, like let's say you have a focus slot of 2.5 hours, then I know that I need a break. So I've even scheduled that time for a break. And it has definitely helped me be a little more efficient. Another tool that is good for planning is Asana. So this is a freemium tool, like majority of the aspects of the product are free and you can work without actually paying for it. You can set tasks. So if let's say you have to make an illustration, so setting out that, okay, what is the style that I need to crack will take me 2 hours, then making the variations in different colors is going to take me further 3 hours, breaking down the task into subtasks and just allocating an end date to it. And if someone else needs to work upon it, allocating and assigning those tasks to them is going to help you, because this software will then send out reminders when this task is due. Maybe you have to do a task in 1 week, rather than mentally remembering it and mentally thinking that, okay, just telling yourself, okay, it's due in a week. It takes up some, pressure, and it takes up some part of your brain's energy to keep reminding you about that. Just put it on the software. So when it's due, it will automatically remind you. So hence, just give Asana a try. I have used it for my various projects, and up until recently, this was even used in the organization to plan for projects and allocate tasks to various team members. So it's one of the best free project management softwares, and I would definitely recommend you trying it out. What are some tips for time management? That's what we'll be talking about right now. When you're in the flow, or when that creativity strikes, you just want to focus on that and you want to keep exploring. And that's when you have to, as a creative, time box your time. What do I mean by time boxing? So if I have to make this presentation, so I'll just 2 hours of my time I will spend just crafting the visual style, and that's when I'll just focus on this particular presentation. And by the end of 2 hours, whatever style I find the most working well with the concept, that's the one that I'm going to go ahead with. If you tell yourself that okay, I just have 2 hours, within the 2 hours I can explore whatever I want, but that's how much time I have to crack the style of this presentation, it is going to help you. And in those 2 hours, just focus on actual designing. Keep your phone on silent, like keep your mail software closed, because if some distractions come in, that 2 hours work will not be done in 2 hours. It is definitely going to go over. So even there are a lot of softwares which block certain apps on your phone as well as your computer. Use those, and then that's going to help you focus on that task at hand. And eventually, definitely is going to prevent burnout. So what is burnout is if you just keep creating, don't have some personal time or some hobbies in between that you're focusing on, you're going to burn out and ideas will not come to you after a stage. And that is one of the worst things to happen as a creative. Take ample amount of breaks and just spend some time, do what you want to do outside of design. That's going to even keep the ideas flowing. So definitely time box your time and keep some time for yourself to focus on other things. Now we are talking about time a lot, but how do you even know how much time you're spending on a particular thing? Like as an estimate, I can just think that okay, throughout my 8 hours of work, I'm spending 6 hours creating, but I need some proof that I'm actually doing that. How can you do it? By using technology. Definitely use technology to track your time. And there are a lot of softwares, free softwares to track your time. Toggle is one of them. So Toggle is just a timer where, like, if you start some particular task, click on one button, it will start tracking your time. Just click on pause if you're pausing the task, or stop if you want to stop the task. And at the end of the day, or even at the end of the week, you could just see that, okay, I actually have spent like 4 hours designing and I thought I was spending 6. The rest of my 2 hours is just going in meetings. That is some data which I would not have had if I would have not tracked it on the software. So then I know that 2 hours is a little too much to spend on meetings. So I should just time box it to 1.5 hours. Then I get 4.5 hours to still design. So you can take certain decisions and adopt the way you work if you track your time. Some tips that's going to help you be a better planner and manage your time is spend like 30 to 40 minutes planning your tasks and what lies ahead. Definitely, it could be done faster. You could even do it in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on the nature of the work that you have. But before you directly dive into the software and you start designing, just see what lies ahead so that you know that how much amount of time you have to design something and if you can go over or under, and that's going to really help you out. So I've had a very busy week this week. I knew I had to do this workshop and I had to do certain other deliveries and important meetings. So accordingly, I divided my day that, okay, this day I need to focus on my project work. This day is just for planning, everything is in place for my workshop. And it definitely helped me and made the week not seem very stressful and very hectic. So definitely just spend some time either weekly planning or daily planning your tasks that lie ahead. So how can you even plan if you have not listed out your tasks? List out whatever task you have to accomplish. This could be at a monthly level or a weekly level or even a daily level. Or you could do all of these. And once you have listed them out, prioritize them in the way of how much energy and time you need to spend on them. If I just have to send one email, I know it's going to take me 15 minutes. And if I know I have to make some new design, it's going to take me like 4 to 5 hours. Then accordingly, I can just first focus on designing and then sending that mail if that mail is of less priority. So accordingly, the tasks which are of higher priority and require more energy, do them first and then eventually do the other tasks that you have in your pipeline. So like I've spoken about Google Calendar, book your times for various tasks. You don't have to necessarily use Google Calendar. Any software or even just writing it down on your notebook is going to help you get everything done on time. And focus hours, very important, because let's be honest, if we are working on a design, you get that one notification, someone, your friend tagged you on Instagram, or you got a WhatsApp message, then your focus is shifted. You are focused on maybe Instagram. I opened Instagram, I saw the notification, then I go and click on all of my friends' stories. And without even realizing, like I've spent 20-25 minutes just looking at Instagram when I could have actually worked on my designs. So it's very, very easy to break the focus. So whenever you're working for optimal focus, block your time and keep all distractions aside. It's not obviously possible that something will not come up in your focus hour, but as much as possible, try to limit those distractions. One thing that I personally have done is schedule meetings at a certain time slot. So sometimes what happens, I have a meeting from 10 to 10:30, then it's from 11:30 to 12, then 12:30 to 1. So I have less time in between to actually get some tasks done. And that half an hour time that I have in between is not really productive, because how much am I going to even get done in that half an hour? I try to schedule most of my meetings together. So if I have to speak to 2 team members, I have to go on a client call, I try to reserve 3 to 5 p.m. and maybe 10 to 11 in the morning for my day just for meetings. So I know during these time slots, I need to focus on collaborating with my team, and the rest of the time is for myself to work on various tasks that I have. That leads to less context switching and you being more productive. Definitely, I would recommend you try it out. Has helped me a lot. And one important aspect which we try to, give less importance and we tend to ignore often is organization and documentation. How many of our layers have been a mess? That okay, it's just group 1, group 2, layer 1, layer 2. We don't name our files, we don't name our layers, because when we are designing, we just focus on creating. A lot of us, I'm sure, have done that. I've been there, done that. That leads to a mess, and just later it leads to your time being utilized in understanding what you had done or cleaning it up. Or even it could be just translating information to your team members, that you might have set some design guidelines, but if you don't document them at one accessible place, then your fellow designer will make something else. Then you will tell them that this button color has to be red because those are the guidelines that have been set for the product. That could have been done easily if you had documented it. So what all things can you even organize? Layers, definitely, irrespective of the software you use. Could be Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, Sketch, Adobe XD, any software that you use. One thing that all these softwares have in common is layers and artboards. So organize and name all of these layers and these artboards. It's going to help you save time in the long run. Files. So yes, when you are in a rush, you just tend to name the file final 1, final 2, final 3, feedback implemented. But rather than just naming it some random name, add what you did in those files, what do they represent. When later, 3 months down the line, you have to find that file, if you had not named it properly, you're not going to find it easily. So spend those extra few seconds naming your files and even segregating them into folders. We download a lot of resources and assets like images, icons, videos, anything. Or it could just be, we keep learning, we look at Medium posts, blogs, or YouTube videos. Organize those, save it in one place so that later you can reflect back at it. Let's say that I'm trying to learn Photoshop and I found this great YouTube video. I forgot how to edit an image, how to cut out the image in Photoshop. And then I'll spend like 5-10 minutes again Googling, trying to find the video, or looking at various other, asking my fellow designers how to do it. If I would have just saved that link and one document where I know where it is saved with the proper name, I would have just gone and clicked on that video, skipped to the part where the tool has been taught, and that's going to help me. So that is something which I myself am trying to do, because I just find good resources and then later I don't save them somewhere, so I cannot recollect what was that great icon pack which had a lot of free icons. So I'm trying to maintain one common place, one Notion document for all of these assets, so that later is going to be beneficial. And finally, you never know, I might create a great repository of great resources online and share it with all of you. Definitely that's the plan. So yes, getting there. Definitely document everything. Great ways to great resources that you find, or beneficial stuff which can further help someone else learn. Now the question would be, what all should you even document and track? The answer to that is everything, like literally everything. At least here at ProCreator, where I work, we document each and everything. What all client recording meetings were done, saving the meeting links, who are we collaborating with from the clients, and what are their positions, how can you contact them. It really helps when a new team member is onboarded to get them up to speed without having to get on multiple calls. So even if you don't work in a large team, if you're working alone, you're a freelancer, document everything. When was a payment due? Or if the client delayed certain things, keep it on email, because then when they tell you why are things delayed, you can just reflect back on that email that, hey, because of the requirements which were not communicated on time, which we have on mail, that's why these things are delayed. So when it comes to tracking, track everything on emails, document your resources, and even certain notes that you took, everything should be documented. What is one good software to do that, which I personally use and would recommend, is Notion. Notion is a note-taking and project management platform. It's a blank canvas, to be honest. It can be used for a lot of different purposes. It can be used just to keep my thoughts in place, for writing the meeting agendas, or even just very detailed documentations, logging issues that are found in a product. It has certain templates, and these templates are free. They work well for a lot of scenarios. And even if some template does not work for you, it's very easy to create your own templates that you can further use for your documentation. So Notion can be used for documentation very effectively. And I'll just show you a few ways that Notion can be used. I have actually looked at a few of the templates, and these are some good ones which will work for all your scenarios and definitely be helpful as a designer. I'm just going to open each of them and show you. Just going to open up my browser. Okay. So product wiki, what does that mean? That is everything with respect to a product. The product life cycle, any user interviews that you took, and any analytics software that was done, what the other things ongoing where you're collaborating with your team members. A name for that is product wiki. So just segregating everything on Notion, and all of these are clickable. So when you click on it, when you click on getting started, this is explaining how to create a Notion page and just calling out certain things which are important. So everything with respect to a product or even a project in your case can be kept in one place and further be linked to various other pages and tools. That is product wiki. Let me go on to the next one. A dashboard. So dashboard could be again anything that with your respect to your freelance work, your personal life even, or any notes that you've taken. This is a very good template where it's very minimal and it's just organizing various verticals of your life. So any random notes that were taken, any client works, any tools that you use specifically for the client. With respect to your health, if you're going to the gym and you're tracking your progress, you can keep it over here. Any blogs that you're writing or that are good, it can just be kept over here. So this is just a template, just blog links have been kept here. You can write your drafts over here. Notion is very robust, and you can create one dashboard which organizes various verticals of your life. That's what is this particular minimal dashboard. So if you just search minimal dashboard on Notion, you will get access to this template. Let's go on to the next one. Resources. So as I told you, I myself do not track all the resources which I started to do, and it has helped me just make one particular template for all your resources. So just this is one organization. This is specific to development, but a similar thing can be done for designs. So just things that you're learning, what subtopic do they fall under, where can you learn it, track it over here. Any courses that you're taking. So this particular person has just tracked that they have finished this course, but they're not actively using it. This is something which they're actively working on. And any other books and videos that were helpful, that's been tracked here. And it's even tracked that if you have seen this video, that's just going to help you understand that whenever you have some free time, you can work on watching these videos or reading this blog. And later when you can go and just share this page with someone else and they can further benefit from it. Another thing would be design documentation. So definitely as a designer, you need to track certain things, otherwise you're going to forget what is the spacing rule, what is the icon style that you use. Somewhere you used a filled icon, somewhere you used a line icon, what is the font that is used. All of that needs to be tracked, especially if you're collaborating with other designers. So just one place where all the color scheme is tracked. So these are the primary palettes, what are the color codes, these are the secondary palettes, and what is the typography that was used. It's even tracked over here that, okay, probably this typography style has been updated. So this documentation needs some updating, and these product owners will know that, okay, this documentation is outdated, it needs to be updated. Where can you find the files to download for the font? All of this is going to really save time when you have to translate it to someone else. So Notion can again be used for design documentation too. And it's very easy. Like if you just see this too, it's very readable and easy to understand where I would find certain information. So these are just some of the templates that I showcased to you. There are a lot more on Notion based on various use cases. Definitely go and try it out. So Notion is a free software, but if you pay for it, you get access to a lot more features too. So based on your use case, you can purchase a plan, but even a free plan is quite helpful for most organizations. And just a fun fact, even this workshop was planned and documented on Notion. I use Notion to identify what were the main topics, what's the topic breakdown, have I done thinking about everything and creating the presentation for this subtopic. I did all that with the help of Notion. So one tool that I personally use and endorse would be Notion. So we touched upon all of the different non-design skills. Now, this might not be the case for all designers. If you constantly work with a developer, there might be certain development knowledge that you will need to. So based on your use case, there are certain more skills that you might need to be aware of, but the ones which we touched upon, those will be needed in every job, irrespective of what role you take on, and even more when you further go to a senior position. So I gave you a lot of information. Let's just review it and reassess and just go over everything that we just learned in this particular workshop. Keep polishing your non-design skills. These skills is not some ready-made template that you can find for communication or for collaboration that you can just reuse. Based on your experience, keep adopting to it and keep working on the skills that you know you lack on or you might not be so aware of. Communicate effectively with your audience. What is effective communication? If your audience is able to understand the information and further relay it to someone else, that's effective communication. Focus on improving your collaboration within your team, because that's finally going to lead to the success of your project and help you save time in the long run. Organize and structure everything in your design workflows. Even simple things like organizing your desk where you work at, keeping it less cluttered, that's going to really help you and just declutter your life. Document and track each and everything. And again, that's going to, maybe it might take a few minutes for you to document it, but it's going to eventually save you hours at a later stage. And now, like I just told you, Notion is a good software, but it maybe like, who knows, within 2 weeks, a even better software could be launched, which just satisfied all the use cases. So like the world is adopting, you need to adopt your processes and change them based on the new information that you have, or just some things, or the feedback that you receive from your team, or yourself could realize that certain things are not working out. So adopt your process and just do what makes you more efficient and helps you organize and stay on track. So keep adopting your processes. Thank you everyone for joining this session, and it's not concluded yet. There is definitely a Q&A round too, and just some of my socials are listed out over here. So my Instagram handle is Thoughts of a Designer. If you just search Kanika Khurana on LinkedIn, you'll find me, and it's Thoughts of Kanika on Medium. You can go and check out, and feel free to reach out to me, message me on Medium or LinkedIn. Definitely, I'll be happy to help you out. And I really hope this session was helpful and you took away something from it. So I would now open the room to any questions that you have that we can further discuss on. I'll just stop sharing.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kanika. I think there are some pointers that I took myself. So I hope everyone got to, get some crucial takeaways for them as well. So before we even get to questions from everyone, if you feel you have any questions, now might be the best time for you to note them down in the Q&A section, and you can get a chance to come live on this and ask the questions yourself. So before we take up questions from the audience, I think one skill that I would like to know your thoughts on is what role does empathy play in your day-to-day professional life as a designer?
That's a really great question. So empathy for a designer is very important, but especially for a UX designer, which is my role, it's even more important. So when it comes to empathy, it could be for your client, for your fellow designers, and even for your users. So you need to have empathy for various aspects of your life. With your client, let's say if the client is asking you to stretch on a weekend, just so maybe this Saturday I support them, and then next week I take a day off because I supported them on Saturday. Those are certain calls you need to take. Or if your certain team member is not being able to get the work done on time, or the quality is not great, just seeing where you can help them out. What is something that currently they're lacking in that they could further improve their skills, just spending some time teaching them, that also helps. As well as when it comes to anyone else, your users. As a UX designer, you design for users, and even any other designer, if you're making a graphic or an illustration, someone is going to use that information finally. And so understanding why you're even creating these designs, where are they going to be used, that's also where you need to have some empathy.
That's great. All right, so we have a question. Ridhima, would you like to take the question yourself? So that I could allow you to come live. Okay, all right. As a leader, I would want to communicate with my team freely and vice versa, but simultaneously, I would also want to establish boundaries as a leader. So, how do I draw that line?
That's something which will definitely, you'll face that problem when you're a leader. I myself have faced that it's possible that, okay, if you're working with certain juniors, they keep asking you for multiple feedbacks. As and when the design is done, they want that feedback. Or if there's some small issue, rather than addressing it themselves and spending some time to research, they approach you because you have kept that open line of communication. So you need to set certain boundaries, that just tell them what are your expectations. Like for me, it's like I'm available only 5 to 6 to talk about this project. So plan your day and ask me those questions at that time. Communicate efficiently and tell them what are your expectations. That will help you just be a better leader.
Just a sec. Okay, so the next question is, I see that there is very little growth in my career, and I don't feel that I'm in quite the right position. So how do I communicate this with my team, or my stakeholders?
Okay, so this depends on a lot of factors, like what is your current career, what are you unhappy about. So first, just spend some time thinking about what are the issues and what is something that is making you unhappy. And when you yourself are clear, if this field is not interesting you, then the best thing would be to explore other fields, try out other things that you like, that you would be more interested in. If it's not necessarily for the field that you're working in, could be organizational issues, that the meetings are not planned anytime anyone approaches you, or you're not getting the kind of work that you enjoy. Then if it's affected by stakeholders or the organization, whoever is the relevant person, could be a senior that you have, or if it's open line with communication with the owners of the company, addressing those issues and just telling them that, okay, these are certain things which are hampering my progress and it's leading me to be unhappy, and listening to what are their inputs. And if it's something which cannot be done better, then probably switching your organization. Or if it's something which can easily be fixed, just telling your concerns to the relevant person and they can further fix it. That is something which will finally make you more happy.
Okay. Also, okay, so I'll just take this question. Okay, Raven asks that how do you manage time in between project deployment?
Okay, so again, a little more information would be needed about what exactly is project deployment. But if it's, let's say, a release is coming up, that's what, like, I'm assuming certain deliverables are coming up and there are 10 things which are ongoing which you need to focus on. Then just again, planning and prioritization is what is going to help you. Like if there are 10 things which need to be done today, what are those 7 things which I have to only get done? And 3, if they are not done, it's okay, like it will not hamper the release, or it can be done tomorrow. Understanding that from the stakeholder, or you internally being able to identify that, okay, this is not such a major important thing, I can just skip on this. So just prioritizing your tasks that you have or any meetings that you would have to have for this release, and keeping certain tasks for later. Like, yes, you might be tempted to do everything, but you can't do everything. Certain things will have to wait till tomorrow. Identifying those will help you just stay on track for that particular deliverable or release that is coming up.
Okay. All right. So the next question is from Mukund. How do you get these terms which you used while presentation, like stakeholder, empathy, user journey, etc.? I don't quite understand the question myself, but Kanika, would you want to follow up on that?
No, I think I get it. Like, what are these certain terminologies that we're using? So, in our life as a designer, we have come across these terms a lot. Some of these would be new for you, like user journeys and empathy is more related to UX design. So, if you are interested in UX design and you learn more UX design, these terms you will come across. Empathy is just being able to relate and understand your audience's problems and understanding what they are thinking about. And finally, just taking certain decisions based on the inputs that you have. User journey is something that the user follows. Like, if you are trying to order a pizza from Domino's, probably first you need to create an account, then you need to select the pizza that you want, and then enter your address, and then finally make the payment. So that's the journey that I'm taking while I'm trying to order a pizza. That's user journey. So once you start actually working as a designer based on your job, you would come across certain terminologies that are specific to them. But these things, especially when you work as a UX designer, you will come across these terms.
Okay. All right. We'll take one last question. Okay, not the one. Okay. Coming back to time management, being someone from a non-design background and just getting started in UX design, it's really hard to know how much time to allocate for certain tasks. So how to understand how much time to allocate for a particular task or a process?
That's a really good question, because once you're starting out in design, you will definitely come across this problem. I myself have also faced it. Like, my senior or whoever is the client will ask me that by when can you deliver these designs, but I don't know how much time it's going to take me. It might take 1 day, 3 days, I'm unsure. So it's helpful if you talk to your seniors, because they have been doing it for a while. They know how the timing and estimation is to be done. So when you're starting out, try not to give exact dates and time out. Give like an estimation. So if you have to make a landing page for a website and you think it will take 3 days, just say that it might take me like 2 to 4 days, depends on the feedback. And again, understanding from the client that if it needs to be done in 1 day, what is something you can compromise on. So speak to your seniors, they will help out. And as and when you keep doing these estimations, you get a fair idea that X amount of tasks will take X amount of time, because estimations is something which you will have to keep providing. Could be very small day-to-day estimations or even a timeline for the end date of a project. So as you do it, you get better. Take help from others. They will definitely help you out about how to get started.
Okay. Okay, so Revant has another question. It is that in a service-based company, we have free time between new project allocation. So how do you effectively use that free time without procrastinating and being overwhelmed with the resources available?
Okay, I don't know which service-based company you're working in, because I don't have a lot of free time. But if you have that free time, use it to learn. That very important. Like, polish your skills, especially your design skills. There's something new which keeps coming out, like 3D softwares and 3D illustrations are really trending right now. You might not know about it, but might help to know a little background about it if that's relevant to your job. So just looking out what are the market trends right now. If you are interested in video editing, to give an example, and you don't know video editing, using that time to just learn the principles, use the software that could add value to your job. Focus on those skills. And I hope your company does not expect you to just sit in front of the screen without doing something productive. Even if they do, you can just tell them that, hey, I'd rather use this time to learn. So learning is definitely a very important aspect where you can spend your time. Another important aspect where you can spend your time, depending on the position that you're at. If you're at a senior position, help your juniors see where they are having issues or something that they're not aware of. teach them so that they can do their job better. And even you can spend some time setting processes. So as a designer, spend that time documenting the different guidelines that you had for a product, or cleaning up your files. Anything that would help you do your job better, that's what you should invest your time in.
Right. Okay, then that's about it for today. Kanika, thanks a lot. I think this was really needed to someone who is really starting off their career and wants to understand skills apart from design, because everyone is really involved in upskilling themselves with certain design skills and mastering their design knowledge. So thanks a lot for that. And everyone, thanks for joining in and tuning in on a Saturday. I hope everyone got their time's worth, and let's see you soon in the next workshop. So Kanika, any last words?
Yes, thank you so much everyone who joined, and I would be very happy to hear your feedback. Feel free to reach out to me on social media, and a lot more workshop would be coming up. So anything that you want to know more about, reach out to me, or you will even get a feedback form after this particular workshop. Fill that out and let me know your thoughts. So thank you so much for spending some time with me to learn about non-design skills, and hope to see you in the future workshops.
All right then, thanks a lot everyone.